Hello everybody, welcome to Nadya Collectibles. My name is Nadya. Thank you so much for being here. For today's video, we're going to be discussing all of the figures that I received during the month of November. It's definitely been probably the best figure haul I've had since I started collecting anime figures, so I'm really excited to show you guys all the cool stuff I got. Definitely got some girl figures, definitely got some crazy figures, so yeah, it's gonna be a fun time. On that note, I do have a small announcement, and that is that me and my friends created a Discord server for this channel. It's essentially gonna be a space where we can talk more directly. I'd love to get to know you guys better. So we're gonna be talking about PVC figures, resin statues, manga, anime in general, all the good stuff. So if you'd like to join, I would love to have you. I'll include a link down below in the description if you'd like to check it out. So on that note, let's just go straight into the video. Okay, so we're gonna start off this haul on a not so good note. So the first figure we're gonna be talking about today is the 1/7 scale Bachira figure by FNEX/FurYou. This was the first ever Blue Lock scale figure to get released, and coming from FNEX, he did come with the hefty pre-order price tag of 22,000 yen. So the reason why this is somewhat unfortunate is because I know that this figure is inevitably going to have a flop attack in the aftermarket, and being that I forgot to cancel him, I of course paid retail for him. I definitely needed to pay closer attention to all the figures that I had releasing in the month of November, but I did not, and I learned the hard way. So let's take a look at this figure to see why the flop attack is inevitable. So the first thing to note about this figure is that his base feels and looks extremely cheap. This was not something that I knew upon ordering this figure. The promo pictures did not show what the final base would look like, and when he was on display at WanFest, he just had that clear, deceitful base that we see on the freeing bunnies that are on display. For a $220 figure, I feel like they definitely could have done more with his base, but they did not. So the next thing is the support rods. The support rods on this figure are very much required because the peg that sticks him to the back of the flames is plastic, so without them he will inevitably lean over time. The thing here is that they are very obvious when displaying him at his intended angle. His pose and outfit are quite nice. The only thing that really is like my thing is that there is complete lack of shading on this figure. He's wearing his iconic uniform from Blue Lock, so there really is not much exposed skin. So you would think, because all they have is the arms and his face, that they could have maybe added a little bit of shading, maybe to define his muscles or something like that, but they did not. His hair sculpt is pretty poor in my opinion. There's some bubbling and messy parts from the mold, at least on my figure, and there's a very harsh break from his forehead to the front of his bangs. It's even somewhat lifting from his forehead, which is pretty upsetting. His face is okay though, I suppose. From the side, he looks like Bachira. From the front, he looks like Basura. I've been waiting to use that one, please. I know, super cringe. My overall thoughts about this figure is that I don't think he's worth the $220 after shipping. If anything, I would say he's more worth maybe $100 to $120. If you are interested in this figure, please don't be like me and please don't pay retail. Take my lesson as a lesson for you and always keep up with your pre-orders so that something like this doesn't happen. So this is the 1/7 scale Bachira figure by FNEX/FurYou. Moving on to a much more positive note, we have one of my most highly anticipated pre-orders, and that is the 1/4 scale Taiho figure by Mimoi. I've had Duke of York and Prince of Wales with an empty space between them awaiting her arrival. As I've mentioned before, I'm on a mission to collect all of the 1/4 scale Azur Lane figures, so I finally have something new to add to my Azur Lane collection. So the reason why I say finally is because this figure got delayed a bunch of times. Thankfully she did though, because she turned out absolutely perfect. I'm not super surprised by that because Duke of York and Prince of Wales, also by Mimoi, turned out absolutely fantastic, but I will say that Taiho is most definitely my favorite from the current Azur Lane Racing Girls set. She is a complete work of art. From her seamless hair sculpt, her absolutely perfect face sculpt. Her face was actually hand painted by the factory workers. Being able to see each individual eyelash and knowing that somebody painted it makes her just that much more special. I am obsessed with her shiny jacket. The Azur Lane strap at the end of her jacket is just so cute. Her pose is so elegant as well, and her body is bodying. With the current standing Azur Lane Racing Girls, they all have the same type of base, so they look amazing paired all together. It's always nice to have some consistency when it comes to the set, especially because Taiho's outfit is a lot different than the Prince of Wales and Duke of York, so having that consistency definitely ties them in really well together. Overall, I have to say she is most definitely a top 5 2023 release for me personally. She's a complete showstopper. You walk in my room and I feel like your eyes just immediately get drawn to her. She is amazing. So this is the 1/4 scale Taiho figure by by Mimioi. So the next figure in my haul is a figure that I never actually thought I would get in my collection, and that is the Alba and Ren 1/7 scale figure by Max Factory. Dramatical Murder, pretty much anything, has a pretty gruesome aftermarket. Even the most recent scale figure for Dramatical Murder that got put up for pre-order has a very, very expensive pre-order price. So generally these figures are just pretty expensive. But for me, of all the Dramatical Murder figures that have been currently released, this one was by far my favorite. It is the one that just like caught my eye. This figure has always been in the back of my mind. I always thought it was like this like unobtainable figure. I was lucky enough to get him on Mercari Japan through a proxy called Nyokio for about $140, which I think is a pretty good price considering he generally goes for around $200 to $400 in the aftermarket. So very much satisfied with that. I feel like that makes me love this figure a lot more. When you get a figure for a good price, I feel like you just look at it a little bit nicer. There's so many moving pieces, yet Alba somehow remains the main focus. I feel like your eyes immediately get drawn to him regardless of what's going on in the background. Yeah, I just think it's an unbelievable execution by Max Factory. I really love these like gravity defying type figures. I currently have him in my designated gravity slay shelf. So he's currently displayed beside my Laura Mischief and my stunning Benton figures. The character designs from Dramatical Murder are just so gorgeous, and a lot of the figures that have been released are top-notch high quality figures. So I think I'm addicted. I don't know, we'll see. This is the first probably of many. Maybe I'll get my hands on that native figure I was talking about earlier, but it's very expensive. I doubt it's gonna flop in the aftermarket. I feel like these figures definitely retain their value. We'll see. Hopefully somebody just damages it and I can get it for a good price. So yeah, this is the 1/7 scale Alba figure by Max Factory. The next figure we're gonna be talking about today is a figure I've been extremely adamant on collecting every variation of, and that is the 1/7 scale Nagatoro figure by Belfine. I got this figure for about $100 on the Crunchyroll store using my VIP 15% off discount. So a pretty good price considering that some people are trying to sell this figure for like $200 plus. It's on the Crunchyroll store, don't fall for it. There are 4 variations of this exact same figure that have currently been released. There is this one that released in June of 2023, and then a smiling version of this exact same figure that released in September of 2023, and then another variation of the smiling version of this figure that released in April of 2021, and then another variation of this figure that released in October of 2020. The 2023 release is essentially a color correction of the 2020 and 2021 releases that turned out a bit horrid. Now she has her nice tanned skin that we see in the actual anime. She looks absolutely fabulous. Everything else about these 4 figures though is exactly the same besides the face sculpt of the smiling version and the one of her sticking her tongue out. You have the same poolside base, the same detachable arms, the same height, but I believe that the face decals were actually improved. The eyes on this one look amazing. She looks like she has the smooth filter on. I feel like her face just looks absolutely fabulous. Maybe it's because of the tanned skin now versus the orange skin that we saw before. With the orange version, obviously with the whites of her eyes, I feel like it looks a little bit more like literally stamped on, but with this one it just looks seamless. I'm aiming to have all 4 of these Nagatoro figures in my collection. I currently only have the 2. Don't ask me why I want all of them. I have no idea. I feel like having them all displayed like this would be kind of fun. Ooh, actually the bases are a different color. I just noticed that. So I guess that's an improvement too. I guess, I don't know. I love Nagatoro so much, so having more of these figures would just be awesome. Anyways, I might make another video in the future once I have all 4 of these in my collection, comparing the 4 variations among the years. So just be on the lookout for that. I won't go too much into a comparison right now when discussing the figure in my haul, which is this one, but I will talk about it in the future because I love Nagatoro and I love these scale figures for some reason. So yeah, this is the 1/7 scale Nagatoro figure by Belfine. The next figure in my haul is a figure that turned out way better than I ever thought it would, and that is the 1/4 scale Pink Twin Tail Bunny by Party Look. Now, if you watched my last video discussing the tan variant of Caroline Yuri, you've already heard me gush about Sakiyamama for like 15 minutes, so I promise I won't put you guys through that again, but this bunny figure was illustrated by Sakiyamama. I do kind of wish she had a more unique name than the Pink Twin Tail Bunny, but it's okay. So I actually canceled this figure after I had it pre-ordered for a few months for 2 main reasons. The first reason was that the painted prototype for this figure had like a really harsh blush under her eyes, which I feel like kind of took away from the delicacy of like the pink suit and pink vibe that she had going on. So I wasn't so sure about that, especially because she is quite expensive. She retailed for about 35,000 yen on AmiAmi, I believe for the deluxe version, which is the one that I got. So the other main thing that a lot of people were upset about on my figure collection that I am still a little bit upset about is that she is missing the fishnets that came with her original illustration. So those are the 2 main reasons why I canceled this bunny. However, upon seeing that she'd finally gone in stock on AmiAmi, I decided to check out somebody unboxing her to see how she actually turned out. She turned out incredible. They completely revised the blush that we'd seen on the painted prototype, so she now has a much more subtle and delicate blush going on under her eyes, which I feel like really accentuate her green eyes. And I also feel like her eyes really tie her in well with Caroline Yuri and Mio Blue. I love all of the different shades of pink used on this figure. And although she doesn't have fishnets, I feel like the bare leg does look nice with this bunny figure. Of course, I would have preferred maybe like a half fishnet or just a total fishnet as we'd seen in the original illustration. But yeah, the thing that really caught me off guard about this bunny figure is the base. When I saw the figure unboxing for this figure and I saw that she had a pink fluffy base, I was like, okay, yeah, that's just, all right, you got me. You pushed my buttons. I gotta order her. So this is the 1/4 scale pink twin tail bunny by Party Look. The next figure we're going to be talking about today is one of the most gorgeous figures I've ever laid my eyes on, and that is the 1/7 scale Chimera figure by Myethos. She's from an RPG game called AFK Arena, which I don't really know anything about, but I just thought she was super slay. Her figure does come with this display card, which I believe is used to be able to redeem her in the game. I don't know. It's a really pretty card and I'm going to be displaying it in front of her figure because it's super slay. Now, this is a figure I've been wanting to get my grubby little hands on for months. I'd seen a mutual post about her on Instagram and I was like, hold up, what is that? And why is it not in my collection already? And ever since seeing that picture, I've been looking for her around retail, being that she released in May of 2022. So she's like a little bit over a year old. So generally with my Myethos figures, they either retain their value or go way up in the aftermarket. I know with like the Cheshire Cat, she went up in aftermarket, but she generally stayed around retail. She just is kind of hard to find. One word I would use to describe her is just fierce. Her nails are painted really well. They match the color of her lips. The base has so much going on, yet the main focus remains on the character. Now, the most unexpected thing I noticed when looking at this figure was her hair. Her hair literally has sparkles going throughout it. There is nothing better than a sparkly figure. So, oh my gosh, I was so shook when I saw that. She is just such an amazing figure. I almost dropped her. She is such an amazing figure through and through. There's so much detail to her figure, all the way from the base to the perfection that is her. There's literally every shade of green that you could ever think of on this figure, and I just love her so much. Myethos is one of the most reputable, reliable, respected figure brands, and I'm just honored to have another Myethos figure in my collection besides the Cheshire Cat. So this is the 1/7 scale Chimera figure by Myethos. The next two figures we're going to be talking about today are the Raquel 1/6 scale Gothic and Lolita figures by The Questioners. These two figures I've been watching on AmiAmi pre-owned for literal months. They don't come up too often because I know there was one time I had them in my bookmarks and they never came back on pre-owned because somebody had bought it and I was like, oh my god. These two figures are sculpted by Katagiri Katsuhiro and I'm a huge fan of their works. Their art style is very apparent throughout their figures. I have quite a few figures by them, such as the Dissia 1-winged 1/7 scale figure, the Nanel Grahambury 1/5 scale by Daiki as well, the Seata Terra 1/4 scale by Daiki again, and the 1/7 scale moored figure by Fine Scenery. All of those figures have that evident Katagiri style that just slays the house down. The one word I would use to describe the set is timeless. These two figures released in 2011, so what, 12 years now? And I feel like these scales are definitely up to par with current scales that have been getting released. They are just an unreal set of figures. They're also multifunctional and they can be used as bookends, which is kind of the main reason why I bought them. I've recently gotten more into collecting manga, so I thought, why not buy figures that I think are super slay by a sculptor I really love and that also function as bookends. I think these are just perfect for the intentions I have behind my collection. They're just gonna look incredible holding up my manga once I figure out how to use a power drill so I can actually set up my wall shelves. Taking a look at the figures themselves, there's just so much intricacy when it comes to their outfits. The real eye catcher for me for both of them is their wings. It kind of is like a lacy / stained glass type pattern going on that I think is just exquisite. I absolutely love their dresses. I love how they contrast with each other, being that the Gothic version has her black dress while the Lolita version is a nice soft pink. This is like a set that I just could not buy one or the other, even though I preferred the Gothic version because it kind of just fits my aesthetic a little bit better. I ended up falling in love with the Lolita version once I finally got her in person. I just can't believe how well these two complement each other. Overall, they're both just absolutely incredible, and I simply cannot wait to use these for their intention, which is being a bookend for my manga. So this is the 1/6 scale Lolita and Gothic versions of Raquel by The Questioners. The next two figures we're going to be talking about as a set because they are the same character, and that character just so happens to be my favorite female character of all time, Marin Kitagawa. So the first figure we're going to talk about is the 1/7 scale scale Marin Kitagawa figure by Aniplex and the Marin Kitagawa prize figure by Taito. I am not going to spend too much time talking about these two just because I do have a video planned of showing my entire Marin Kitagawa collection and talking through all the figures that I currently have, including these two. But I will say that in terms of the Aniplex one, I was one of them haters that wasn't so sure about how I felt about her figure initially going up for pre-order. So I did not go out and pre-order her on Aniplex. I actually picked her up on AmiAmi Pre-owned for quite above her retail price. I think I got her for like 26,000 yen, and I think she retailed for like 16,000 yen on Aniplex, so quite a difference. Probably made a mistake there. Now having her in my collection though, change of heart. I think she looks amazing. She's just a really good quality scale figure. I really love her pose so much, and I love that her hair is flowing in the wind. Her nails look fantastic, and her face actually looks a lot better than I thought it was going to. Initially with the prototype, I thought she was kind of giving Wallace and Gromit a little bit. Maybe it was just her mouth that I wasn't a big fan of. But yeah, this one definitely exceeded my expectations now having it in my hand. Moving on to the prize figure for Marin Kitagawa. Best prize figure I've seen in my life. I swear, Taito's been killing it on the prize figure game so far. It's honestly better than a lot of scale figures in terms of quality. So in this figure, Marin is doing her iconic Shizuku cosplay, so she has the most gorgeous dress ever. There's so much lacing going on, which I feel like is an amazing detail to be added to a prize figure. It literally looks like actual lace. And then she also has lacing along the half tights that she's wearing. Another really cool thing about this figure is that she has a working chain from the cosplay, and I think that's so cool that they actually have like a metal, I don't know, is this metal? It feels like metal. Like a metal collar, I guess. I want to have every single Marin Kitagawa figure that's ever been released. So these are the two briefly explained Marin Kitagawa figures that I got in during the month of November. Next up, we have a figure that I heavily regret buying in the condition that she is, and that is the 1/4 scale X10 bunny by Freeing. X10 is no doubt one of the best bunny figures that's ever been released by Freeing, and honestly one of the most beautiful overall original character designs that's ever been done. She originally released back in September of 2021, but luckily got a re-release that released in October of 2023. I'd unfortunately canceled my order of her on Good Smile because she got delayed till October, and every and any figure that could have released in October got released in October. I figured it was okay to cancel her because she had just gotten the re-release, so I felt like she's a lot more obtainable, I guess, in the aftermarket, so if I ever wanted to get her, I would be able to. As soon as I canceled her on Good Smile, I instantly regretted it, and I ran to Mercari to get the first available listing of her. Fortunately / unfortunately, I found her for a good price on Mercari for $180, but she had a broken peg. And like I said in other videos, I have this like weird thing where I feel like any and every bunny figure that comes with damage I can fix. So I'll buy it in whatever condition it is, as long as the fishnets are not ripped, because I feel like I can fix anything. I don't know why, because I never end up being able to fix anything that I get in, but I just have that feeling that like the cost outweighs the damage, kind of. So yeah, in this case, not at all. Definitely a huge mistake on my part. The amount of stress that I've gotten trying to fix her peg, and the amount of stress that I've gotten from her leaning because she has no support from the peg, not worth the, like, I think $60 that I would have had to spend if I got her a new one Good Smile. A lot of people have gotten this bunny figure with a lot of quality control issues. So for me, I knew her peg was going to be broken when I got her in, but her arm was also snapped off. I think it's a little bit surprising. Which I think is a bit surprising. I wonder why the original release didn't have this problem, but the re-release did. But despite the issues that I have with not being able to fix her peg, by the way, if anybody knows how I can fix that without having to super glue her to the base, please let me know. Any and every advice is welcomed. I just need help. Despite her issues, she is absolutely stunning. I really love the tone of brown that they used as accents throughout her suit. So we see it on her eye patch, we see it on her head, her bunny ears. She kind of has like an Edward Scissorhands kind of thing going on, which I think is so cool and unique. Even just her having the white eyelashes is so unique, but the fact that her eyelashes are like 3D, I feel like is super special. I really love like the balayage that she kind of has going on in her hair. So we have like that transition from gray to like a skin tone at the ends of her hair. And then her bangs also have like different shades of gray going on as well. Overall, I am delighted to have her in my collection. I don't think I will even sell the damaged one because I don't want to put somebody else through having to repair the figure, I guess. In a perfect world, I would just have two X10s, one perfect and one that needs repairing, but not by me because I don't know how to do it. But yeah, I can see now why her aftermarket has shot up the way it did on her original release because she is amazing. I just love her so much, and to have her now finally in my collection is a perfect way to end the year for me. So this is the 1/4 scale X10 bunny by Free. Thank you so much for watching my video today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to as well, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye!